into... There we go. That's what I was waiting for. I always get tricked by it every time. What is up, everyone? It is Lovenji Gaming here, and once again we are back with game number 2 of the Populous at the Beginning beta tournament between playing as the Dakini tribe. In the Dakini position, it is Gods of Destruction's Loothill. He's already dropped one game, surprisingly, on Narrow Passage. The master of strategy with himself surprising us all in the live stream with a very unorthodox and very unusual strategy for Narrow Passage. His opponent currently up one game. It is Clan Asgard's Sub-Zero. Loothill is immediately going to just rush the base. See what Sub does in response. He's going off and getting the convert. He's saying, you can have my base because I don't mind you having my base so long as the wildies are around the map. Now, there are advantages and disadvantages to both. The advantage here for Craig is that he gets to go all over the map and get 3 bases worth of Wildmen. The advantage for Loothill, however, is if he secures this position, he can build an array of towers here and basically put Craig on a 1-life game. As you can see, Loothill has gone for Fire Warriors. He's gone for a Fire Warrior training hut even before the Warrior hut. He wants to get Fire Warriors patrolling around this core as quickly as possible. And the reason that he wants to do that is so that he can get that core camp up. If he gets this core camp up, Craig's basically playing a 1-life Shaman game. And that's a very stressful game to be playing. It doesn't immediately guarantee Loothill the victory, but it does apply a lot of pressure onto Asgard Sub-Zero. Of course, the advantage of this for Sub-Zero is that he has 2 bases anyway. He might have lost his main base, but he's got a much higher pop. He's got a few minutes to build up. He doesn't have to reclaim the land immediately. There's a whole bunch of wildies floating around here just waiting to be picked up, and we'll be seeing Sub-Zero pick those up without a doubt. Loothill's going for a second base push as well, pushing forward. We've got tower plans from Loothill. He is going for the core camp that we have talked about. But he goes down. He actually dies there by the looks of it. Yeah, that was Loothill dying to Braves of all things. I don't know if I like this trade for Loothill. Craig has a warrior training hut up already, and he's already establishing warriors, which means by the time you get these towers up and filled with fire warriors, there's going to be population knocking at your door. I think this was the wrong choice for Loothill. Got 3 standard huts from Loothill, a bit of a normal base. He's converting as best he can. The Wildmen are going to last for a long time. They have the best pop in the game. Warriors pouring into Craig's green base, but the blue base is just being built up. Craig knows he's got so much population and that the Wildmen are going to be constantly spawning that he's not even going to build huts. He's just going to train warriors and train warriors and train warriors. Don't know if I like this for Loothill. Loothill's fighting a hard-fought battle, though. He's getting these towers up. Getting them up and filled could be crucial to victory for the Gods of Destruction player if he wants to see a chance of winning. It's good to see his warriors finding some success, but all of these warriors going down mean they will not be able to defend these towers. Loothill needs to be thinking about what he's doing here whilst he has built a standard red base and definitely has a good number of huts. It's nowhere near enough to make up for the amount of Wildmen that are on the field. Craig's moving back, trying to reclaim his old base. If he gets this base back, he goes up to 3 bases. Timing on this is perfect because the towers are finished, but they are not filled. Meanwhile, Loothill sees this as an opportunity to trade. There's a big clump of Wildmen here he could get. And he does pick them up, which is good to see. But Craig is recovering his base. He's getting those. Ooh, Craig needs to be blasting as quickly as possible. There are Wildmen killing his Shaman currently. Loothill does save one of the warriors, but the rest of them do go down. Craig has a Fire Warrior training hut, is pumping out some Fire Warriors. Needs to get them in the towers as quickly as possible so that he can secure the bases. Loothill's in there and blasting as much as possible. Yes, yes, I said wild men killing his shaman. Very, very funny. I'm getting criticized by my stream chat because I'm talking too fast and I'm not talking clearly enough. Just you wait, one day Kosyak's going to make a mod where wild men can kill a shaman. Population update. Thank you, Babbo, for the population update. It is 57 population to Loothill and only 59 to Sub-Zero. So Loothill building a full-size base that is actually defendable could have actually gone against Sub-Zero right now. There's a huge clump of wildies at the back of Blue's base that can still be picked up, but this is a huge warrior push. Once again, warriors might just win the day. They could break down the defense, get Craig in with his shaman. 24 warriors to Craig, 8 warriors and 6 fire warriors to Loothill. These warriors are spread out nicely, go into all the various towers, trying to just strip out the defense. Loothill's got fire warriors in his hut as well. He throws out the light and he manages to kill Craig's shaman. Those fire warriors in the huts are going to save Craig. Well, they might not actually. That's a lot of warriors still getting in. Shaman has to turn around and deal with all these warriors. These warriors clumping up like this does mean a lot of them are going to get blasted, and without the advantage of a large number of warriors, this might now be Loothill's game to lose. We'll have to see what happens elsewhere on the map. Craig's lost control of the blue base as warriors start to tear it down. He does have a very lightly built green base, and he's only just recovered his own land. That lightning might have been the turning point of the game because now the shaman is still alive to deal with these warriors. There's only a couple of warriors in the base now. 3 warrior training huts. And one of them being torn down by a warrior. Craig is alive and he needs to start thinking about building properly at this point in the game. The base is going to have to be built out as Loothill does have a fully built base. Population right now is 50 to Loothill and only 31 to Sub-Zero. Gotta remember there's a lot of wild men around, so it's okay to drop to low population because there's plenty for you to convert to get back up to high population. So what we're looking at now is the state of the board or the buildings that the players have. Craig does have more warrior training huts, but Loothill has a properly built base, complete with tower defense and everything. It's a very difficult position to crack with just warriors alone. Need the assistance of a shaman. Loothill is pushing forward into what would be Craig's main base. The shaman's trade blasts, both taking a good chunk of damage. Loothill's in Craig's base and converting. He knows that this is about the converts. He keeps converting Braves away from Craig. Craig will not be able to get back into the game, but Craig gets a very nice blast onto Loothill, and Loothill goes down. Craig throws down 2 more warrior training huts. He's really not doing anything to build out bases. He is just pure troops right now. So it's clear that Craig's strategy is to thrive off of wild men alone. All Craig is doing is utilizing the constantly spawning wild men to destroy Loothill. He doesn't need huts, because if you don't need huts if you're converting everything. You can be at 120 population and there's still wild men on the map. But what he has to be careful of is this. Loothill fully builds out second base. He'll be on high enough population to completely despawn wild men on the map, and then Craig will be regretting not having a fully built base. It puts a clock onto Asgard Sub-Zero. It seems like a very strong strategy, but it is a strategy with a timer. Warriors are tearing down what remains of the defense, and Loothill's being smart and just pushing his defense forward as well. You know, he's playing this, except for the amount of warrior training huts he has, he's playing this a lot like a standard pressure point game for just his main base. What's going on over here is a little bit of a mess, but he is just playing. He's got a defensible position. Like to see him push the towers out here, maybe try to secure the middle ground. Yeah, people keep pinging it. This hasn't changed. Large number of wildies at the back. And Sub-Zero is showing up to collect. He just gets to take blue base all back for himself with this many Braves. It doesn't even matter that there's a fire warrior in that tower. One fire warrior won't hold against an endless tide of Braves. Loothill is using warriors to try and get into Craig's base and damage these warrior training huts before they can pump warriors, but it might not be enough. Sorry about that. I had a hiccup mid-sentence and that made me make a very unusual sound. population counts right now. But remember, the last population update was 50 population to Loothill and 31 to Sub-Zero. It's now 96 to Sub-Zero and only 67 to Loothill. Craig is playing the map better. He knows that these wild men are the source of population until a player can get a fully built and fully upgraded base. Craig shoots himself back up to 96 population, and he's actually now starting to build out a base of his own as well. So what Craig has done is he's gone for a troop hut heavy style. He knows that wild men are going to be constantly spawning on the map. The amount of braves that he can get from wild men will constantly give him enough mana to be able to charge up converts to convert future wild men. Meanwhile, he can turn those wild men immediately into troops without having to worry about the building and upgrading stages of the game. This allows Craig to play faster and more aggressively and start to troop out Loothill in a very untraditional way that you don't often see in Populous at the beginning. But likewise, you start to get, as we've already explained, the only disadvantage to playing like that is if Loothill is able to weather the tide, and at the moment Loothill does have a disadvantage, but if Loothill is able to weather the tide and build and upgrade his base to the point where less wild men are staying on the map, then Craig quickly doesn't have the infrastructure to support a high population. It's an interesting balance, and as you can see, plenty of huts have been built over here, but the warriors are just going to rush in and deal with everything. Now, what Sub has done that is very clever is he has secured this base. He's got towers, he's built them in a almost traditional pressure point style. They are going to hold the line. It's very difficult to just troop with warriors and just troop with shamans. His main base is a little more exposed though, and Loothill sees that. So Loothill's just starting to push up into the base. Loothill's base is looking fine, and he is breaking into Craig's base. Starts blasting warriors, starts getting a couple more converts off. Where is Craig's shaman? Lost track of the yellow shaman. Yellow shaman is over at the blue base. Once again, ripping it away from Loothill and confining Loothill into only one base. Buildings are being turned down. Loothill does a little bit of an alliance to prevent his braves attacking the warriors. He wants them to stay in the huts. Alliance breaks. Look at those fire warriors in huts. That is a beautiful thing to see. Lures the warriors in and executes them in a clinical style. Ghost Army comes down from Craig Shaman. It looks like the Shaman's going to try to push in, and that's an Earthquake. That's our first non-lightning offensive spell of the game, and it's happened 13 minutes into the game. We'd be thinking this was a noob game with how slow that Earthquake was. But these players are playing aggressively with troops. But Craig has once again given up control of his main base in order to make that attack, and it's just one Earthquake. Loothill hasn't even really lost control of this base entirely. It's been damaged, but it's not been ripped away entirely. Yet there are still more wild men spawning around the map. And this is what I start to allude that Loothill may be favoured if the game keeps in this direction. Wild men are not unlimited, and as you can start to see, there are large huts, there are medium huts. And Loothill's just building towards Craig's base. Good to see the constantly spawning wild men mean that players are aggressively trooping each other. They're not afraid to throw some of their population away, and the population update Thank you, Babbo. Once again, it is Loothill 78 and Sub-Zero 63. This poorly built base might end up costing Craig in the long run. These towers are going to get completed and Fire Warriors may fill them. Sub-Shaman will be put on a lifeline. That's a completed tower. Warrior training huts have been torn down. Craig is confined to a poorly built green base. And actually, these huts are harming him because this is affecting the population count. This is affecting the total population count. And therefore, the rate at which spawning wilds comes in. Who's adding extra tiers of defense by the looks of it. No, he's running Braves around in really weird paths that kind of confuse me slightly. Ah, there's a stuck warrior. Just in time to witness a warrior get stuck and killed. Craig is rotating himself around into the blue base. We might get a very weird IVO version of Pressure Point, which will be blue and green versus red and yellow, but I would give the advantage to red and yellow in this very particular situation because of this core camp. One side has a shaman, one side runs the risk of losing a shaman. You know, Craig's shaman will be on a very finite life. The fact that Loothill's built a base, he's starting to fill these towers. The core camp is getting up. Craig has lost control of the reincarnation site. Players, spectators commenting about how much they're enjoying this mode. I'm really glad that I could encourage something different to be played. It looks like we might be seeing a Game 3 because Craig is now really starting to struggle. Oh no, large influx of warriors are going to remove the core camp. Craig saved up a large number of troops to be able to deal with that. Those warriors have to be able to clear it, but Loothill's side is just... There's too many fire warriors in huts. They're constantly shooting, they're softening warriors. Warriors aren't even getting to the towers with enough HP to be able to do any damage. Craig throws out a light to clear things up. But the warriors have not fully utilized themselves to take out all the towers. There's still 2 towers left. Craig is taking damage as Loothill gets into his base with a pretty deep earthquake as well. Warrior influx attacking him at the front. This is getting very messy and the players are going for some form of a trade. And I don't like that for Loothill because if he loses too much of his base, Wild Meta Knights start spawning again and we're in the same position we were before where both players are just running around the map converting wilds. Another large influx of troops. Nope, they are just patrolling at the front to try and stop additional fire warriors getting in and prevent a future core camp. Loothill's warriors have been cleared up. It's a very offensive thing to say. We have got Craig moving his shaman around. This is turning into quite the game. Players are trading population advantages back and forth. They're trading trooping advantages back and forth. They're even trading... Well, no, they're not really trading base advantages. I think Loothill's always had the base advantage. In the sense that he has the biggest and best built out base. A little bit of damage from the warriors on this side strip. They are going to get cleaned up by a well-placed blast. We have Loothill pushing in. Again, this base was not able to rebuild itself. Loothill's going to once again try and establish a core camp. But if he wants to do a core camp. He really needs to defend this, either with a large number of warriors or with the shaman itself, and hold the base with his own troops. You have to commit to doing a core camp, and you have to commit a little bit more than just building some towers and putting some fire warriors in it. Warriors will try to clear a core camp, and therefore it's good to have a patrol of warriors beneath the towers. Now, green has... He's pretty much built out his green base. It's not the perfect build. There's wasted space for wasted huts there. He's secured the blue base for himself. He's got a nice defense now between him and the red base. That's actually where red base is at its weakest as well. Once again, Loothill is going for a core camp. He's going to build towers for the third time now. And with any luck, he'll actually be successful in getting it off. Meanwhile, Craig is going to assault Loothill's base. He throws down an earthquake. This is the most multiplayer earthquake you've ever seen. He's got the mana. He may as well use it. And look at this. Large number of warriors now going to defend the core camp. Large number of warriors coming in, but they are once again going to be dealt with by the fire warriors. It's good to see where Craig has gone off to. I have not the foggiest. He might have died, and I might have missed it. We'll keep our eyes peeled for the sudden emergence. Oh, Craig's in his base magically, so he must have just respawned. His death was a little too slow. Or a little too early. Large number of warriors are now going to charge into the base. They're going to distract the defense, and they are going to tear green base down. In fact, they're doing it so much so that Loothill isn't even sending his shaman. He knows those warriors have got it in hand. He's just dealing with Craig's shaman right now. Loothill really needs to think about protecting his core camp if he's going to go for it, because otherwise warriors are just going to clear this up a third time. Fire warriors push the yellow shaman around. They don't secure a kill. Warriors are looking like they're in the base. Fire warriors are in huts. Good to see Craig responding like for like. Neither player is going for the Armageddon, but perhaps this is the perfect game to end it on. If you're running around a map converting large amounts of followers, you're struggling to get waves of damage as you just trade bases constantly, secure middle, and go for the Armageddon. Good to see both players playing this hard, though. Neither player wants to give up. They are in it to the end, but look at all these warriors that Loothill has gotten into the base. Loothill's shaman is stuck. There you go. Get a spell walking. All of these warriors at the back of Sub's base may be costly. We've just seen the sparkles of a shaman die. It looks like Craig has managed to die. If fire warriors get into these towers, it could be all over. No, wait. Wrong shaman. Red died. My bad. Craig is pushing. I don't know how to cast this game. I am sorry. Another earthquake in the same position, though. Not perhaps the strongest decision. Loothill just needs to cover this in towers. Wildman killing a shaman. Haha, guys. Haha. Chaotic game, guys. Chaotic game. Plenty of warriors taken out this green base. The green base is basically worthless now. It's covered in damaged ground. Craig has built out the blue base, though. He's got a good few huts in the blue base, being a little bit of a pest. Once again, warriors are removing the core camp before the core camp could be truly fully established. Yeah. This red hut is just like, I hope they don't notice that we are yellow. My stream chat's discussed. I love you guys. So, I'll give a little bit of context once Loothill's finished his attack. He's thrown out 2 lights, missing Craig both times, and Craig manages to secure the kill. Of course, Loothill has control of his course, so he will be back in the standard 40 seconds. I just want to point out that my stream chat has started a discussion that says, what would Lovenji cast if he was a sports announcer? And the top 3 suggestions, or the very first 3 things that people said almost instantly, was golf, tiddlywinks, and cricket. Did not realise I was that boring to you all. Thank you very much. Where was I? I've been completely derailed by being told I should have been a Tiddlywinks announcer. We've got Craig once again trying to recover his old base. He's using converts to pick up a few wildies here, there, and everywhere. One thing has to be noted, and that's because Loothill has put so many Fire Warriors in huts, he still hasn't completed his upgrades. You know, these huts could be upgraded now. It's a nice earthquake, standard pressure point earthquake onto the blue base. Land is starting to get damaged. It's starting to get misshapen. Nice lightning from Loothill, but doesn't quite find the kill. Craig Shaman is, once again, this is the 4th time that Loothill is going for the core camp, and probably the 4th time that Craig's going to clear it up. This one hut of Loothill's is still just chilling in the back of blue base. I don't even know if Craig has realised. Once again, all these warriors are just charging in with the support of Loothill Shaman. No idea where Craig Shaman has gone. Craig Shaman is once again running away from Loothill Shaman. We're getting a little bit of musical darts here. So, musical darts. I just read the chat and they made me say darts. Musical bases here. So we've got Craig makes it a proactive point to not be in whatever base that Loothill Shaman is in. Loothill goes to green base, Craig goes back to yellow base. Loothill chases Craig to yellow base, Craig goes over to blue base. Craig goes over to blue base, Loothill chases Craig to blue base, Craig attacks Loothill, and respawns in yellow base again. I must stop looking at chat because they're reveling in how much they've thrown me off this cast. So one thing that is constantly noticed is how different this pressure point game plays out when you're not told that you cannot use the standard base, the other bases. You're starting to explore the fact that Populous at the beginning takes place on a world, and you start to treat it like the world, and it becomes very expansive. Now, we have a huge push from Craig. All those warriors grouped. Now, those of you who do not know anything about Populous at the beginning, let me explain one thing to you. Fire warriors deal area of effect damage. As you can see, all these warriors are already getting the low health stars, as we call it, or they are dizzy. They were all taking shots from each individual fire warrior. Every single fire warrior was hitting all of those warriors, and so that army really achieved a grand total of bugger all. To use my Britishness, bugger all. Which is very unusual because Sub is a player who is normally known to be quite good with his ability to spread troops out. He's the kind of player that if you play him with preachers on, there's preachers everywhere and you're not even really sure how they got in. Another huge trooping wave from Loothill. I finally think Loothill has secured the victory. I think this is done this time around. Sub-Zero is not giving up. Yeah, I love this hut. This hut is a survivor. What we like about Craig is he doesn't give up. He's a player that is very tenacious. He knows how to survive and how to come back into games. Any of you who have watched his free-for-alls know just how robust he can be. But this is a 1v1. There isn't another player to distract and take the attention away. The population difference right now, 114 to Loothill and only 45 to Sub-Zero. As we were saying, Loothill's base is getting big enough to the point where the Wildmen are not spawning in huge groups anymore. There's still loads of Wildmen on the map, do not get me wrong, but this is not your get 10 with a single convert groups of Wildmen anymore. Loothill has built out his base enough to affect the world's population. Does look like Craig is going down at this point. Craig is doing what he can to hold on. Loothill goes into Craig's base, finds all the population. He starts throwing out blasts. Killing a lot of Braves with those blasts, throwing out an EQ just for good measure. Loothill's going to start having the mana to throw out spells. On top of the trooping that he's already been doing, he can start to play this a little bit more, quote-unquote, traditionally. Once again, Loothill's going for the 5th core camp this game. So it's good to see Loothill has answered back. The narrow passage saw a very aggressive warrior play from Craig give Craig the victory. But Loothill has not been deterred. He was able to stand against what I consider a very unusual and very aggressive strategy. And it does appear like he has managed to secure a victory. Now, of course, Craig is not the player that gives up. I've said that before, and you can see he's moving around the map, converting as much as possible. It is going to be work to remove Craig from this game. He will not just say GG. He will not just quit this game. He will play the tournament over and over and over again. But there's a big but here, and not the kind that people like. These towers are going to secure the core. Once again, Craig is finding himself in a position where he is core camped. If he loses his shaman even once, he loses access to convert. If Craig loses access to convert, he loses this game 100%. I still think that Craig is going to lose this game, as much as I don't like calling games before they are over. One of the principal reasons for that is just the amount of warriors that Loothill now has on the field. It's going to be very difficult for Craig to deal with them, combined with the core camp. But if Craig loses access to his converts, this game is 100% over. And yet the spectators are pinging it for us. Earthquake comes out. 2 lightnings, 3 lightnings. Craig is still alive. What was those aimed shots, Loothill? I say that, but who could have predicted Craig to just stand completely still? Craig throws out 1 blast. He throws out 2. He goes down. We may see GG from the Clan Asgard representative at this point. We may not. We'll see if this core camp is enough to hold him. I don't think it is. It's only got 1 fire warrior in it. Loothill needs to be filling those towers with additional fire warriors. Craig's warriors are trying to once again clear up the core camp, but he doesn't even have enough of them. I'd like to see the slash surrender. Of course, this is a tournament game. Players have every right to not surrender. Warrior battle is going to go in favor of Loothill. Craig loses the last of his warriors. But he's not giving up. He's throwing out those converts. He's doing what he can to keep himself in the game. Oh, Craig says GG. The game goes to Loothill. We're going to a game number 3. Stop quitting.